pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico as the symbol of a perfect friendship among united cultures. Now the invitation by Girl.
Let us pray. Father God, thank you for this day and for the opportunity to meet as a governing body. Thank you for directing the board's decisions with your divine guidance. I ask that your will be done this day. We thank you for our daily blessings. Forgive us when we fail you. Help us to show your love in all that we do. Please take care of our families, friends, citizens, ourselves, and those who keep us safe and those that protect our freedoms. Lord, I give you glory and honor in the holy name of Jesus. Amen. Amen.
Good morning, Commissioners, and good morning to those who have joined us in the Commission chambers this morning. First order of business is public announcements and comments. I haven't received any written comments, but I suspect there might be some from the audience. So if you have public comment, we ask that you keep them to 3 minutes and be courteous. State your name, and first up.
Good
morning.
I'm Justin Wilson, 159 Gillock Road, rancher. Come in last week and spoke on the mayor's Southwest Loop proposal. I'd like to thank Commissioner McCutcheon for your comments acknowledging that we need to protect our producers at the end of the session last time. I met with Jason Burns yesterday to look at some of the damages caused by the surveyors that are unpermitted on my lease, and some of the irrational idea of the area they've been surveying for a right-of-way. The proposed area would be across a reclaimed landfill, numerous arc sites, endangered plants, and have hydrology issues such as a quarter-mile floodplain crossing Dark Canyon. And there's multiple oil field utilities and locations and webs of pipelines in several areas, while still beginning and ending on Hidalgo and Dark Canyon roads. The decision was made by Mr. Burns as we looked at it yesterday to use Hidalgo and Dark Canyon roads that are existing infrastructure. You know, this would save the county tens of millions of dollars and not destroy 6 to 8 miles of public lands or be detrimental to my cow-calf operation or oil field production in the area. Mr. Burns said that he talked with the county manager about this and changing the routes, and he agreed. We also had a phone conversation with Mr. McCutcheon yesterday while we were in our meeting and talked about it as well. As landholder and the leaseholder, I look forward to involvement with the committee that is set forth in our state statutes. The commission is accountable for following the New Mexico statutes, so that no steps are missed in the process. This being said, the mayor is pushing this agenda for this loop outside of his abilities, and this is it outlined in these statutes of who can petition for such a right-of-way with proper procedures. And I want to ask the commission to review this before any more proceedings are done. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Are there other comments?
Apparently I'm a stopgap. I'm Sandy with me. I too want to thank Commissioner McCutcheon for his ending comments on the September 6th meeting, which I quote, "No way can Eddy County running their business impact somebody else running theirs." And I hope that that's something that y'all take to heart, not just on this project, but also on the Carrasco Road project as well. I feel like there's some things that can happen that can mitigate those damages to producers in those areas. I came today expecting the Otis gym to be on the agenda, but it's not. And again, I think there's support out there for the county keeping the Otis facility as a community facility. I think there's other agencies that will be interested in helping do some of the things that need to be done there. So, thank you.
Thank you. Other comments?
Good morning. My name is Willie Boffman. I am a tax-paying constituent of Eddy County. Today, there are other Eddy County citizens sitting behind me that live and work, pay their taxes, and vote within this county. Unfortunately, they do not feel as though they are being represented in a manner that they see fit. While the county deems it necessary to improve the county with frivolous projects, they've neglected thousands of miles of county road that already existed. We are expected to be happy with a chip-sealed road that isn't drivable, while millions of dollars are wasted on projects that are not needed but also not wanted. Today, we would remind this commission that taxation without representation is the reason this country exists, and we will continuously demand that our voices be heard. I recently shared photos and words regarding these problems, and it was shared over 200 times with tens of comments outlining the same issues. These are not issues just by producing like cattle ranchers. They are farmers. They are people that live in Queen. They are people that go up and down the road to do any kind of job, which includes the oil field. These people cannot drive on roads that already exist. And yet here we are, spending thousands, millions, wasting time and man hours doing projects that are impacting people that have a vested interest in that land. Justin Wilson is a tax-paying citizen, and what he wants should be at the very top of the agenda. What your constituents are asking should be at the very top of your mind. What the city needs or wants is not an issue. If we wanted to live in the city, we would. We live in the county, and we expect you guys to represent said county. The vested interests of the city do not matter. Not in this room, not with these people. I drive down roads every day that are not suitable. Children go up and down these roads that are not maintained and have been long forgotten. To the school bus, to work, it's not safe. We can't even hit the bar ditch in some of these. If you've seen any of those photos, you would know. At this point, we have absolutely been forgotten amidst some sort of idea of what Carlsbad should be, this tiny town where they want to build a super highway. I don't know who benefits from that. I know that you can't drive truck traffic down a chip-sealed road. I know that unless you're going to build that road correctly, you're going to do absolutely nothing, expend thousands of dollars, and then the trucks are still going to drive through town because it's a better road. It's been a state highway and a state bypass for longer than I have been alive. And they're still going to use it. And so here we are with chaos in its wake, ranchers losing land, losing production, and wasted money when you guys could have been focused on stuff that mattered. We would absolutely implore you to remember who you are. You are a mouthpiece for the people. You are not our leader. You are not in charge. You are here to speak for us. Thank you.
Other comments? Seeing no further comments, we'll move quickly to the service awards. First is Johnny Davis, the Sheriff's Office, 10 years.
Pictures today?
Come.
Oh, we got so much to do pictures in-house. We'll take care of it.
The next is Miss Ana Vasquez. She has 10 years of service with the HR department. Miss Vasquez is tending to root canal for, not hers, or wisdom teeth for her son. So, next is Rebecca Torres from Public Works with 5 years.
Ms. Torres and Mr. Potter's did not come today, sir.
All right.
Well, we do have Mr. Morris. Yep.
And they both have 5 years of service, Rebecca Torres and Casey Padez. And then Victor Laura, 5 years with Public Works. Thank you, Victor.
Mr. County Manager, I think before we break for pictures, we can do that. We may want to adjust an item on the agenda, if that's okay.
Yes, sir.
Entertain a motion that we move commissioner comments from the end of the agenda to just right after pictures and invite the public comment people to stay if you'd like to stay.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Please call for the vote.
McCutcheon,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go get our pictures.
Quick picture
And
with
then we'll come back.
Mr. Davis and Mr. Lara. Just over by the
I used to went out there.
Okay, okay.
Right, exactly. You sure? I can.
Yeah, I don't even know how to use this. I can barely turn it on.
Right?
I'm a Android.
Oh, are you?
We're also a digital grandma.
Oh, right. There, me too, girl, me too. I'm getting better. So what happened with Miss Jerry? She just get another job?
took another job, went to work for one of the DOE folks. Up there, one of the contractors for NWP.
Okay.
So, similar role, I think. Yeah. So I don't know what the particulars were
Yeah.
about.
And Brian, too.
Take y'all long to get your
Brian's been,
Brian's was a personal choice of about health.
I guess they weren't intent on getting a good one, they just took it and whatever it was, it was.
His approach to health and what he was able to do and not do at work, added stress and some hypertension and blood pressure and stuff.
well, good. Take care of
Yeah,
yourself.
so,
Absolutely. Sorry, I was looking at it.
We've moved commissioner comments to this portion of the meeting now, after which we'll start with item number 3, but we'll start with commissioner comments and maybe start with Commissioner Carlson.
One of the comments that was made during the public comments was the fact that the city of Carlsbad is not a part of the county. I would differ with that wholeheartedly. All the people in Eddy County, including the people that live in the city, are part of the county, and we have to look out for all citizens' best interest. Another one of the comments that was made that I took exception to was that we don't look out for the people in agriculture when we have 2 of our commissioners that ranch right here on the board itself. So they for sure understand what it's about to have an agricultural operation and to go forward. So when people make statements like we don't care about the people in agriculture and stuff, that there's nothing that could be further from the truth, and I take exception to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Carlson. Commissioner Beers.
Just a couple of things. First of all, there's not thousands of miles of county road in Eddy County.
6,500 miles of county road.
That's incorrect.
That is incorrect. There are 1,250 miles of county road in Eddy County. As far as that traffic coming through the city of Carlsbad, upon completion of the loop, the city of Carlsbad, via the mayor, will pass a bill of ladling law that they can't do now because we don't have a loop. And anybody that doesn't, any of that truck traffic that does not have business in the city limits will be ticketed if they come through Carlsbad. And that's about all I've got to say.
Ask you a question, sir.
No, not now.
Thanks. Couple of things I've got is, it seems like, let them throw you out. Is that what you said, Mark?
Yeah, that's what I said.
You're gonna be a pain in the ass all day? Because we'll throw you out right now if you're going to be. Sheriff, will you please escort Mr. Whip? You okay?
No, I'm leaving.
Okay, thank you, sir. We've got two very different comments today. Justin, I appreciate your comments and I appreciate you having down the facts and communicating your hardship, because I'm not naive to what that loop would do to you. What we have to do is make sure that our conversations are based on facts and not emotions. And and what you've done the last couple of meetings has inspired more thought and more reflection on what we're gonna do in the county moving forward. Jason, and we talked a little yesterday. You were in the pickup, I think. When we spoke about that, we don't really. We have recommendations that are brought to us, and recommendations are, hey, we need a bypass here. But obviously, we have good judgment. But we allow those engineers to make decisions and to build roads and to do those things, and we bless those. We bless those. We bless those preliminary engineering reports and things like that, and move forward to be able to move traffic throughout the county. I don't think it's a great idea to go right through there, but we want to be open and look at everything. So in the preliminary process, you were able to find some issues and brought them, and it looks like it has affected change for sure. Then we have Willie's comments that were pretty non-factual and not very well based, inconsiderate of the entire public of the county. And we do need, as Commissioner Carlson said, we do represent everybody in the county. And in order to get traffic out of roads or out of town, we need to build loops. And if you didn't vote for me, that's fine. But I said I was going to build all the bypasses I could build when I was in when I was running to be put on the county commission. If you didn't vote for me, it's because you didn't read my pamphlets. They're right there. We need to build loops so that we can get traffic out of town. We have tried our best to move traffic off of Lee Street by building the first west loop. Sandy Wilkie's fought us every step of the way, and the only reason we're doing that is so that we can make it safer for the school kids. And yes, there is impact, and we could have mitigated some of those issues a little better and been a tick more proactive on a few things. But at the end of the day, we can't have wind turbines coming through town, and we can't gob up the traffic there on Lee Street and things like that. And we have to have a safe way to transport traffic around Carlsbad. Everybody loves Lubbock. That's why everybody moves there and says, oh, great Lubbock is. Well, they got a loop that accesses the entire city all the way around. And that's kind of our vision for Eddy County. We do it safely, we do it effectively, and we do it that things are engineered. I understand the pictures that were put on Facebook the other day. Shoot. Yeah, it rained finally. Thank goodness it rained, and it washed stuff across the road. No, ma'am, we're not. This is a one-way conversation. You had your talk, and I'm going to have mine. So, it rained and it washed stuff across the road. Heck, we spent a ton of money on Marathon. Tons. We have allocated money all over the county. Yeah, we haven't got everything, but it's getting a heck of a lot better. We got 1,250 miles of road. We've paved 400 miles of road this year, Jason. We blade 200 a year, 200 a year, and feel like we're doing a pretty good job in Eddy County. Feel like the majority of citizens feel like we're doing a good job. If you feel slighted, every one of you guys have my phone number, and you can sure call. You know, Jake, I've talked to you a few times. Rankin, I hadn't talked to you, but you're sure welcome to call me, and we'll visit if you guys have issues. I mean, we're all friends here. Justin's called me several times, and we've done our best to get those things taken care of. What we want to have is a conversation not based on emotion, but based on facts. And if your road hasn't been taken care of, then you pick up the phone and call. And we're happy to, you know, and we're happy to try to mitigate those issues. We have to make sure that we're transporting agriculture, that we're transporting industry, that we're keeping the citizens safe, and XYZ all throughout the county. So ours is a bird's eye view. If you've been overlooked, you know, I simply apologize. But you know, if we're going to come and you know, say that, yeah, you reminded us, Willie, that we work for you, which we absolutely do. We feel exactly the same way about politics. But you know, there are certain things that get overlooked, and that's just part of it. But you know, we're doing our best, and we need to have our conversations always based on facts, and therefore I appreciate Justin's comments, because we can have a constructive conversation in moving forward. Commissioner Henry.
I appreciate what Commissioner McCutcheon has said based on facts. So there's a few things out there that really have bothered me because they're not factual at all. And we see them on Facebook. Facebook's real cute. And if you get your information from Facebook, I'm really sorry, because the bulk of Facebook is incorrect. Because you can put whatever you want, right? And well, I see you shaking. I'm not even talking about roads at this point. I'm just talking about, in general, Facebook is a joke. So if you're getting your information from there, please go somewhere else, because a lot of it's incorrect. A few of them I can chalk off real quick. All the commissioners' roads are paved and look great. Must be nice to be empowered. My road's not paved. I don't think any of these gentlemen's roads are paved. That's 4 out of 5. She lives in the city, so I'm pretty sure her road's not paved by the county. So let's make sure when we're putting stuff out there on Facebook that it's actual factual, and we can back it up with something, because that's incorrect information. And it looks disingenuous, because then it does look like we're doing something wrong. I really appreciate the fact that you're reaching out to the county in a proper way, and we're trying to help you in every way that we can. There's so many tools that we have provided to the public for you to communicate with us. Jason on his website has a place where you can go and put your road in, and then you can track it to see exactly where it is. A huge Artesia loves it. Maybe y'all don't use it up here, maybe you do, I have no idea. Artesia loves it because we can see where the road is. It might not get done right away, but it is on the list and we can do. Some other things this county, I'm the only one that was sitting here at the time, but I can remember when Commissioner Wood, who's no longer with us, he just isn't here. He's not passed away, so I should say that properly. So he's just not on the board with us anymore. Asked the question, how much would it take to fix the roads? And we had a former county manager that said $1 billion. $1 billion. Well, we found that that's completely incorrect, because we've spent about, a little over $50 million in the last year and got quite a bit done. And I know some of your roads might not be done, and I completely understand that. We haven't got there. We also, about 4 years, had a plan, had a group come in and run every single one of the county roads, every single one of them, to say what kind of shape it was, what kind of priority it was, and how long it would last. And from that, we have executed a plan that we put every single one of those miles into place and said, here's how we're going to tackle this. Because for a long time it was ignored, you're absolutely right, but not this commission. This commission has put millions and millions towards it. That every time that we have an overage in money, it goes towards roads. Anytime we have extra money, it goes towards roads. So anybody saying that this commission, we just care about industry, and we're just wasting money on these special projects. These projects have been in the works for a long time. And I'll go even further into that in a second. On top of that, I've asked Mr. Burns, and within the next week and a half, you can probably go to his website. It'll be an interactive map to show every mileage of this county, the roads, if they're paved, if they're graded, how it is, and what we've done to them. So go be interactive with that map and see exactly what we've done. So when you're putting pictures out there, you're going to go find a county road. I say it after every radio station, every time I'm on the radio. We're working really hard. There are still roads for us to tackle, and there will always be roads for us to tackle. You're not going to find a single county in this state or in this country where there's not a bad road. I will fully admit that. We hadn't got to them all. There's thousands that we haven't, not thousands of miles, there's probably hundreds of miles now that we've got to get to, and then we've got to come back to. So when we're out there on Facebook acting like the county hasn't done anything, it's a little disingenuous, and it's a little frustrating because this board has worked so hard and so many great things are happening for a little group to decide that they want to stir something for their own purposes. It bothers me quite a bit because there has been a lot of stuff done in this county. And I had one more thing. Where was I going? Oh, the bypass. The bypass, when I hear, oh, it's just for the city. We use the city as well. Y'all use the city as well. We've got wind turbines coming through the middle of town. I don't know how long those doggone things are, but they're miserable when you're coming through town. Hay trucks are coming through the middle of town. Oil and gas is coming through town. I followed a belly dump the entire way here today through town. We need to get those out of the middle of the city, and Mr. Baird is correct. We need to push them and force them to go to the bypasses and stay out of the middle of town because y'all use it just as much as I do. You can be a county resident and you're in town shopping, taking your kids to school, doing whatever you do, and we have got to make it safer and get them out. Is it inconvenient for some? Absolutely. Do we have to work the best we can to what's the word I'm looking for, to whatever, work with y'all. We need to make that happen. But for these things to continuously be put out there, it really bothers me when so much has been done. I haven't heard from any of y'all. Now, granted, I'm down in Artesia, and I understand that seems to be more of a Carlsbad group, but it really upsets me, not because of this board only, but I know some of the men and women that have worked their tails off in this county to get it right. That's all the comments I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Henry. Thank you all.
Thank
for
you,
coming.
Commissioners. So the next item of business on the agenda is item number 3, IFB RFP bid awards. RFP 22-10, employment-related physical services and drug tests. Ms. Anicia.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners.
Morning, Anicia.
IFB 2210 for employment-related physical services and drug tests got solicited twice. This last time we solicited on August 9th, and we did receive 2 proposals. The first time we solicited, we realized that the proposals we received were not in the best interest of the county, so we went ahead and let both of those vendors know that we were going to resolicit. After evaluation this time, the staff is recommending that the award go to New Era Physical Therapy. And with that being said, I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions for RFP 22-10? Having none, entertain a motion that we approve the RFP 2210 employment-related physical services and drug tests.
Second.
Motion and second. Please call for the vote.
McCutcheon,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anicia. Thank you, Commissioners. Moving next into the trailing portion of the agenda, item number 1A, Commission meeting minutes for September 6, 2022, needing approval.
Any questions or comments for commission meeting minutes for September the 6th? Having none, entertain a motion that we approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Please call for the vote.
McCutcheon,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Next is the commission meeting minutes for the special meeting of September 9, 2022.
Questions or comments for the special commission meeting minutes for September the 9th? Having none, entertain a motion that we approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Please call for the vote.
McCutcheon,
Yes.
Beard,
Abstain.
Carlson,
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Purchase card approval report for August 2022.
Questions on P card? Expenses. Okay. Entertain a motion that we approve the P card for August 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Please call for the vote.
McCutcheon,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Our next item of business is approve the safety net care pool certification of public funds for fiscal year 22-23. First quarter, Ms. Veronica.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Veronica.
So today I'm seeking for approval of first quarter safety net care pool fund.
Any questions or comments? No comments, please, on this one. Okay. Entertain a motion that we approve the safety net care certification for fiscal year 22-23 first quarter.
I'll make the motion.
Motion is second. Please call for the vote.
McCutcheon?
Yes.
Beard?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Veronica. Next item of business is county personnel vacancies, Eddy County Sheriff's Office. We've had since the beginning of the year, there's been an increase in the vacancies in the Sheriff's Office. We've had several retirements, and we've had a few that have gone to other locations, other business opportunities. And the recommendation, after looking at data from other law enforcement agencies in the area, is to adjust the wages for the wage rates for entry-level deputy, the uncertified deputy, a certified deputy, and then the subsequent ranks within the sheriff's office. The uncertified entry-level rate would increase just under 16%. The certified deputy rate increase would increase about 7%, 6%. There you go. 7%, and that rate increase would continue through the detective, sergeant, lieutenant ranks. The captain rate adjustment would be 9.4%, and the chief deputy would be 11.6% increase. Right now, there are 18 vacancies in the department. Most of those are in patrol. We are down some.
Which would fall under the certified
Certified
officer?
deputy.
Okay.
Certified deputy. Uncertified deputy is if an individual applies, they can be, the county would pay for them to go to the academy to become certified. A certified deputy would have been in law enforcement in another agency and been certified in that other agency. And so the entry level rate for an uncertified deputy, we hadn't been able to attract candidates to be considered for that role. So in the last 9 months, that vacancy rate has continued to grow, and our ability to close that gap, we think, has been stymied by the entry-level rates and the certified deputy rate. So by adjusting those two, what you wind up with is some compression in the detective, sergeant, lieutenant ranks. So we're trying to maintain that difference between the certified deputy as they move up in the ranks within the department. So that's what those other adjustments refer to. The principal intent is to try and attract qualified applicants to the department for consideration.
Okay.
So you have some information there that I put together that compares the rates for different local law enforcement agencies. There, on the second page, there are two comparisons. One is data that the sheriff provided from Carlsbad, Hobbs, Lee County. On the right side of that page is data that the HR director collected. There was a little discrepancy in the data from the Artesia, so we went to the source in Artesia and got the correct data, and you'll see that highlighted in yellow there. But you can see through 4 Eddy County's Sheriff's Department, there are differences in the local law enforcement agencies in southeast New Mexico. So the recommendation is to have the commission consider those rate adjustments as a means to close the gap in the available close the gap in the ability to get new recruits or certified officers into the department. And the last page of that information I shared with you kind of highlights some of those details about how that process would work.
Okay. We may start out with Commissioner Henry and your comments. You've got a lot of information, I think, on that.
Yeah, I've got a couple questions. I'm looking at this, because I had the old sheet, but then I know we updated a lot of these numbers. So when I'm looking at certified deputy, and I see Hobbs PD on the left side of the paper, I see that at 2777. Then over here on certified deputy, I'm guessing Hobbs is Hobbs PD again, but I see a difference of, that's 3393, that's like a $6 difference. What's the difference?
Right, so on the left side of the sheet, what I represented there are within Eddy County, our pay grades have multiple steps in them. An entry level would be a step 3, that's the low level. Mid-level would be step 7, and the top end level of a pay grade would be step 13. So what I've represented there are the 3 rates, entry, mid, and high for each of those. So the difference between what the HR data represented for Hobbs, that might be a slightly lower step.
Okay.
So, but it's within the range. So mid-range for Hobbs from the sheriff's data was 3405. The data from HR was 3393. So they're not off. They're off 12 cents.
Well, what's his first number rate? That's starting rate 2777 on Hobbs?
Yes.
And then, so what we're saying is on 3393, that's a mid-range, so
Yeah,
that's.
right.
So when I'm looking down the right side, all these are, because Hobbs is the only one that seems to be off from starting to midpoint,
Yeah.
quite a bit, significantly different than ours.
So it's comparing salaries of what's existing within our ranks. We'll have deputies that move to certified, and then through the step process, they'll go to step 7, 8, 9 until, if there's an interest, potentially moving up to a sergeant, then they'd have to test and be evaluated and selected, but then they'd move to another pay grade. So within that existing pay grade, their rate of pay could increase year over year 2.5% each year until they reach step 13 and are capped out. So that, in my view, would be the difference between some of those numbers. They're not, I don't think they're dramatically different, but catching where this HR data was pulled from, what step they were in that pay grade is a bit of a challenge.
And then out of the folks that we kind of polled here, I guess we're probably looking at Hobbs, Lee, I don't
And
see
Carlsbad.
Chavez on here, Carlsbad. Are they full?
Lee County's full. Carlsbad, I don't know, I understand they have a few vacancies, but, and I'm pretty sure that Hobbs is full. So, again, capturing that data is if they're willing to give it to us and share with us, that's great. We try and reciprocate when they're all doing the same thing. But as you imagine, wages in southeast New Mexico, it's a competitive job market, competing with local governments, competing with industry for different wage rates. So,
I mean, the only other comment I'll make is that I know you and I've talked a lot, unfortunately. I'm sorry I've called
That's
you
okay.
so much, but
That's what we're
I also
supposed to
called
do.
out quite often. The reason I struggle with this is what does this do to the future? Right now, we can absolutely handle it, I think. And for the next 2 years that I'm sitting here, I think we can handle it. But what happens to that poor person that sits in this seat in 3, 4, 6, whatever it is, when we do have that oil dip, when we do have those dips in revenues, can we handle it then? And I really, really struggled with it because the first time we did this 5 years ago, was it 5 years ago, 4 years ago, when we did a jump, absolutely saw the need. We were way behind then too. We were having deaths on 285 on a regular basis. I mean, things were out of control. I don't want to get back to that point either. So I think this, out of all the votes I've ever cast, this has been the absolute most miserable one I've just thought about for the last couple weeks since we've been hearing about it. Because on one side, I absolutely want to make sure our roads are safe with deputies out there. I want to make sure when things happen, we have deputies to respond. On the flip side, it terrifies me continuously adding reoccurring expenses. When things are good, they're good. And when they're bad, they're really a bummer. And like I said, it won't necessarily affect me, but it will a lot of the folks in the audience. It will affect you. It'll affect most of these gentlemen. Because they'll be sitting here still. So I'm still debating it. I'm interested to hear the other comments. But this has been a very difficult thought process for me.
Thank you, Commissioner Henry. Commissioner Cross?
Well, now look at this and I understand that it's a hard decision to commit for funds to the future. But if you are gonna put funds into our future, what better places to put it than roads and emergency personnel and law enforcement that put their lives on the line for us every day. And the better trained law enforcement and emergency service people that we have, the more lives we'll save. And so, I mean, it's a hard situation, but if we're gonna support something, I think this is where we put our money.
Commissioner Beard?
18 short in our sheriff's department is unacceptable to begin with. To a little bit, maybe to ease your mind a little bit, you know, encumbering future commissions to this, I think inflation will cover that. Maybe they just won't be giving any more raises down the road. I mean, inflation's run rampant. Crime's up. We need these guys out there, and I suspect we're gonna need more positions than this before this is all over with. I don't know how we can not support this. I don't know how suddenly we're so far behind Hobbs and other places. This has all happened pretty quick, if I'm not mistaken, so I guess it's time to keep up with the Joneses.
Well, it's a bit of a leapfrog process. At the end of last year, the beginning of this year, Eddy County was the target in wages. And earlier this year, Lee County made a significant addition to their wage rate. It's been in media in lots of locations. This isn't a unique issue across the state. It's how you're able to address it that is where the challenge lies. So it does have a continuous loop feel to it.
But I think that also happens in every profession. I've been, you know, in the CPA profession, we chase the same thing. And you want the best qualified, the best, but the best, it costs.
And you look at the job market in southeast New Mexico and the wage rates for retail, for food and beverage service, all of those have had to compete for resources to fill those jobs.
Yeah, and for us to just think that, stick our head in the ground and think that they don't have somebody else to go, that's just a sad mistake.
What people work for is that paycheck, so you gotta follow the money.
Talking about the need for sheriff's office officers is pretty far down in the sequence of problems. It's a problem, but it's pretty far down the sequence of problems. We should hopefully be able to strengthen families around where they raise good kids and they don't go out and be idiots their entire life, or the sheriff has to go arrest them, and we gotta hire 18 more officers to do that. Now that's obviously a long-term goal, but we need to do things that strengthen the community and strengthen faith and things like that, so that we're able to hopefully avoid some of these problems. You know, we have the Carlsbad High School up here, and it said that over 70% of the kids at high school are vaping marijuana, vaping during school, things like that, and doing it so on a regular basis. I know the sheriff's aware of all of those and is working on some things to help mitigate some of that. At the same time, what I don't want to get into is this loop of pulling from the same pool of officers, right? And that's the problem. And so we need to be able to attract new, good recruits, and I don't know if that's a program in high school or whatever that looks like, but I would like to see some of that coupled where, hey, we can pull in uncertified officers and do things like that. I'm in support of this, not because, don't take this out of context, not because the sheriffs are just great and the officers just need a raise. That's not it. But it's to line us up in the job market and be competitive. And so this is in no way to rob officers from another municipality or county or anything like that to come and work for Eddy County, but in hopes that we can attract new officers. And I know, Sheriff, that you're probably just sitting there biting your tongue, want to say something here in just a second. So we'll let you talk here in just a second. But I think we need to couple this with strengthening community fabric and doing a few things that promote families and things like that to try to help solve the long-term solution. We also want to recruit new people and not draw from the same pool and keep officers, because if we've got 500 officers in Eddy County, whether they work for Artesia, Carlsbad, or Eddy County, and they just keep revolving, we don't solve any more problems. And so, but I'm in support of this, along with Commissioner Beard. Think that yes, I see exactly what Commissioner Henry is saying. I hate reoccurring expenses, especially in time of surplus. I'm fine to spend it one time and move on from that on a road or something like that, but reoccurring expenses really bother me. But in reflection on this, I am in support of it because it aligns us up and puts us in the market. And just as Commissioner Carlson said, shoot, we've got to attract good people. And I think in 2 or 3 years, it's probably going to have a revisit. Hopefully not. Hopefully this will stay for a while, but we all know that with increased populations, we need increased enforcement. So maybe with that, turn time over to Sheriff a little bit and tell us kind of what he's thinking. So
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commission, and County Manager. First off, I'm not here asking for a raise for myself. I've never advocated for that because first off, I can't. I get paid what I get paid, and that's what the state legislature decides. So this isn't a raise for me. I want to make that very clear to anybody out there listening. I'm not in here saying I need a raise. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Maybe I need my pay cut. Heck, I don't know. But what wasn't taken into account here also is state police. Our state police, and God bless them, and they deserve it, they've gotten a 16% raise. And they're going to get another one. It's coming. And that's an appealing thing as well for these folks. We're talking about keeping people, the same people in Eddy County working. Well, sure, they'll still be in Eddy County working, but they're going to be wearing a state police uniform because they can do that. They can step right over into that. And I'm good friends with the chief of state police and the captain down here, and we talk about that. As a matter of fact, one of the deputy chief just appointed me to a statewide board to look at retention and recruiting and how to spend some of the extra funds that we're having generously bestowed on us by our governor. And I won't even comment on that. But here's the thing, even with this, and this was not exactly what I proposed to the county manager, and with all, and he did a great job, and I proposed more of an across-the-board thing, and this was with a lot of work on his part to come up with this plan, and I obviously I support it, but I've had to. Our folks are pretty happy over there working, but we've had a lot of retirements. I've let a couple of people go because they didn't meet our standards, Eddy County standards. And another option has been, well, lower our standards a little bit, and we'll hire some more people. No, I'm not gonna do that. I was voted in by these folks out here to do the best job I can do, and y'all. So we're at the point now where even if this plan is passed, we're still not even with the other folks that we looked at and with state police. We're still not even, but we're in the same ballpark again. And I mean, we looked at this. We were not getting quality applicants. And we're like, why are we not getting quality applicants? We got cool cars. We got, or SUVs. We don't buy cars anymore because that was a nightmare. We pay decent, we have good training, we have good people, we think we have good leadership, we feel like we do, we get some feedback on that. And we started looking at, and we're recruiting hard. Sergeant Gracie Gonzalez busts her butt recruiting. She goes to everything. I mean, works her tail off to try and get more recruits. And we're just not getting the quality ones. Well, I talked to Sheriff Helton in Lee County. I said, how's it going for you? Oh, I'm full. I got a stack on my desk of applicants. I said, really? So we start looking at this. Carlsbad PD, I know how Carlsbad PD is. I got 2 sons work over there. So I get the information. I said, what are you guys doing? We start looking at it, and we start seeing, and I was shocked. I knew we were going to be a little bit behind. I was shocked to see how far we are behind in some areas. Additionally, you look up the ranks, and my captains, when you promote to well, first off, when you promote to lieutenant, there's no more regular overtime for you. You can work some grant overtime, but usually promoting from sergeant to lieutenant is a pay cut overall because of the overtime opportunities. So you got to really want to move up. And usually, we're supposed to have 13 steps. When you move up to lieutenant, you might get 2 raises because of how the pay scale works. You really get committed and you move up to captain, you're done. There is no raises when you become captain. You're topped out. Same thing with chief deputy, undersheriff. You're topped out when you move up to that point. So there are no raises. You get what you get unless there's a COLA. So I took that into account. I mean, there's a $30,000 difference between my undersheriff and the undersheriff in Lee County. $30,000 difference. That's pretty significant. For someone who has the same or better qualifications doing the same job. Is he going to stay no matter what? Yeah, he is. Sure he is. But does he deserve to be compensated? When I was undersheriff, did I deserve to be compensated a little better? I thought so maybe, but that wasn't to work for me. What I've had to do with these, well, let me get right back to that real quick, and I won't stay on this too long, but we're recruiting, we're pushing hard. Y'all have supported us. We have good equipment, great equipment. We have good training opportunities. We have so many things to offer to these folks to come work for us. We're recruiting hard. We're going to the military bases. We're doing all these things, and we're just not getting them. And that's, come to determine it has to be the rate of pay because they're getting applicants. Carlsbad PD is very cyclic. People come and go sometimes with them, but they're always hiring people. Their rate of pay is higher than ours. What I've had to do with all these openings that I've been saddled with is I've had to shrink special programs because patrol is our backbone. If Sandy Wilkie, no, she's gone now, but if she calls 911 and there's no deputy to show up because I've taken away from patrol and I've bolstered up all these other things, then what good are we doing? So patrol is the backbone. I have to keep people in patrol. I have to keep patrol solid. But because of that, I had a violent crime suppression unit. Went after all the violent offenders, which we have a bunch here, don't kid yourself. That shrunk down to one person now. It used to be a team of 5. My CAT, my community action team, is basically a traffic division. They were formed back when 285 was still called the Highway of Death. But they have a lot of functions, and folks in this county have benefited from them being sent to do targeted enforcement in problem areas. We chase it around. It's like whack-a-mole. But they were very, very effective in doing that because they were autonomous. I could say, hey, go over here and do this. Go over here, take care of this. I got a complaint over here, go look at it. And they did it. You know, I mean, people are in there now, two. And one of them's a sergeant that has other duties. So our detective division has shrunk to where those guys, and they have a stack on their desk of cases, but if I fill them up, if I put 2 more in there, their caseload is that tall. And here, the absolute biggest impact that it has on this community is our drug task force. Y'all see it all the time. Y'all see the posts, and some things on Facebook are factual, sir.
Yeah. So I said half.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What our drug task force puts out, what I echo what they're doing. That should frighten y'all to death. That should frighten everybody in this county. It's amazing, this fentanyl, this poison that is killing our children and our adults, our citizens. But our drug task force is second to none. They take off more fentanyl than DEA Albuquerque does. They're that good, and they work that hard. But I'm down an agent out there. Actually, I should have 2 more out there. I've been waiting and hoping, and then it was like, phew. Now I'm 1 down when I was hoping to add another one out there.
You better be scared to death that southern border comes right through Eddy County.
That southern border,
And we have
yes.
Arizona locked off, we've got Texas locked off, and they're all going to Martha's Vineyard, so.
I just came from a sheriff's
If you just
summit
wanna
in
come
Sierra
to the
Vista.
regular United States, you come into Mexico now.
Mhm.
So if you wanna bring your dope, you come here, and not, you end up in,
We discussed
Martha's
that
Vineyard.
at Sierra Vista at the sheriff's summit that I just came
which
from.
maybe we should, you know, I don't know, maybe sponsor buses or something.
So let's,
Well,
You wanna stay with this, is that what
Yeah,
we're talking about? You
please.
don't wanna get too far off topic, Cass is
Anyway.
squirming in his chair over here.
your drug task force, y'all's drug task force, is the best there is. And Commander Leos and his team is incredible. I've never seen anything like it, and I've been doing this for 40 years. And I've been a narc, I've never seen any team like it. So I implore you, I want more than this for my folks. I really do. But I'm tempering that with fiscal responsibility. With, I'm tempering my emotions and not coming in here and going, I want $10 an hour raise for everybody. I want 20% raises. I get that. I get we have to be reasonable about this. I think this is a very reasonable plan. I've always advocated, back a long time ago, back when I was undersheriff, I spoke to y'all, I spoke to one of y'all about this. And I said, you know what, we expand as the economy forces us, as the population forces us, in all areas, in all aspects. If that does, when that does start to decrease, then you have shrinkage. And I mean, like, I can't remember which one said, maybe we're gonna need more deputies here in the next couple of years. We might, if we can start filling these slots. But as the population shrinks, crime will shrink. The need for as many deputies will shrink. Now, granted, it's difficult to take pay away from people, and I would never advocate for that, but because that's just how it is. But you shrink down in numbers as you need to. You start looking at that. You start freezing positions. and then maybe doing away with them if it dictates. So I'm gonna shut up now because I tend to talk a little bit long. But our problem is statewide, I can tell you that, sitting in on the meeting that I was on yesterday, the retention and recruiting meeting. It's a statewide problem. You ought to see what Albuquerque, but look at the crime in Albuquerque. The crime reflects the lack of law enforcement presence. I don't want that for Eddy County.
Thank you, Sheriff. Commissioner Henry, do you have anything?
I guess to go along what you're saying, because that's why I think this is a struggle, because I absolutely agree with everything. I mean, we just topped 2 million people crossing the border. Obviously, our crime is increasing, and I don't think that helps. Drugs obviously are increasing. But then you also have a state that is working against us as fast as they can with qualified immunity. All these bills that they're passing. In fact, I had a great conversation with some Democrats, shockingly, this last Thursday. A few of them were down here, legislators and senators, and they don't disagree, but I'm like, well, y'all are the ones passing it, so help me understand if y'all are passing these, because now they're in the same boat, many of them from the Albuquerque, Santa Fe area. Well, we need police. Well, you're passing legislation that's continuously hurting us. So does this fix it? I guess that's where I'm struggling. Does this fix it? It probably helps. Obviously, more money helps somewhere. But does it actually genuinely fix the problem? Because you're 100% correct. You look across the state, we're not unique. We're probably unique just being 18 down. I mean, Albuquerque, Mayor Keller told us the other day it was hundreds, and they lose hundreds a day, so they've got to gain hundreds just to stay a couple hundred down. I mean,
Well, that you have a valid point. Now, I brought that up in the meeting. I said, look, because I think the ACLU was even on that panel for whatever reason they got put on there. And I was like, look, some of y'all are going to think this is going to be an unpopular, but I'm good at doing that, right? An unpopular comment. But I said, people don't want to be cops. Why would they want to be cops in New Mexico? Y'all are talking about recruiting people from out of state. Are you kidding me? Who from Arizona or Texas or Colorado, our neighboring states, are going to want to come here? Oklahoma, where cops are, they still have qualified immunity there. They're not as villainized as we are here. We're cops are leaving. They're leaving. They're leaving New Mexico. They're saying, I'm not doing this. A point that I failed to make, Mr. Chair, and if you would indulge me for just a minute longer, is I think to talk about what everybody was a couple people brought up was stealing from Peter to pay Paul from the other agencies. If you look, the largest raise on there, the largest percentage is for uncertified deputies. That means we're focused on trying to bring in new people to the profession, people who are not already in it, people who are not working for the local municipalities around here. We're focusing on finding good quality new folks. They don't even have to be young. I don't even care if they're young. I mean, so I wanted to make that point. The highest percentage raise we're looking at is for uncertified, brand new folks to hopefully entice them over to take a look at it. Are we going to get them? I don't know. They apply all the time, but I mean, we
got to start with the base recruiting. Like, we have to bring people,
We do.
Because we can't keep.
We got to make more cops in New
robbing
Mexico.
the same pool.
We got to make more cops in New Mexico. And maybe we start down here where we're cop friendly in Lee and Eddy County.
Further questions, comments?
No, sir.
Commissioner Henry Carlson, Beard.
I'm in favor of this mainly because I would like for the word to get to the southern border that at all costs avoid 62-180 when you move your stuff north. So if we can do something here and the reputation gets around, and it's probably getting around as many drug busts that you're making, this will help that. It's got to. So.
Okay. Sheriff, thank you for your comments and insight, and I, as always, appreciate all the comments from Mr. County Manager, and every commissioner here has very valuable input to each subject that we discuss. Having said that, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the county personnel. Well, hang on a second. How do we say that? Because it's county personnel vacancies is the agenda item, but
For the sheriff's office, item number 3.
So-
in-
Yeah, because it's not necessarily county personnel vacancies.
Right, the recommendation is to increase wage rates, as,
Maybe, you don't have the form on there.
yeah, it's right here, if you wanna read it. There, item number towards the bottom of the page.
The recommendation?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion that we approve under item number 3, county personnel vacancies, the recommendation that we increase wages by 7.1% for all deputy ranks in the SO, the exception, for all deputy ranks in the sheriff's office, the exceptions being the uncertified deputy rate, which would increase 15.8%, the captain rate by 9.4, chief deputy by 11.6.
So moved.
Motion and a couple of
Flip a coin.
motion and a second and a motion. Here, Belize call for the vote.
McCutcheon?
Yes.
Beard?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioners.
Your
Appreciate
sheriff's
that.
office appreciates you.
We appreciate the sheriff's office. Thank you.
Thank you.
Clerk wants to pay me back. All right. Next up, personnel vacancies at the detention center. So, the warden has a vacancy rate in his officers and the security staff of a large number. This has been a recurring issue with detention over the last couple of years, as we've seen. The warden and I have spoken on many occasions about the need, as you, from other conversations, the approved positions for the detention office or the detention center have stayed consistent, but we've continued to have an inability to fill those positions. And at the end of the fiscal year, the unspent wages are significant. So after looking at the wage rates and looking at what's occurred in other detention facilities across the state of New Mexico, the recommendation was to increase wage rates for all positions in Eddy County Detention Center by $3.10 per hour and provide a $5,000 signing retention bonus for security positions, and that's 85 positions out of the 121 detention positions. That retention bonus, there are a couple of ways to do that, but the thought process being that it would be spread out over a period of time so that basically it is earned by staying in the role. Eddy County, when compared to the other detention facilities in the state of New Mexico, has generally been one of the higher rates of pay. But the continued deficiency in the number of staff is a reflection of trying to compete in this job market in southeast New Mexico. That's a tough job. It's not a job for everybody. And we get folks that come in and figure out that's not for them, and they move on, and good for them. We're trying to find the folks that will come and stay and be part of that organization. You may have seen in some of the larger media publications up in the north part of the state, the largest detention facility in the state, MDC, Big Mac, had a couple of instances earlier this year, a couple months ago, where they were below, their vacancy rate was below their critical staffing level, and some significant issues began to occur there. the warden and his staff have been able to navigate this challenge without those kinds of issues, and you know, applaud the warden and his leadership team for making that work. But we need to give him some more tools to help bring more staff into the facility to help them accomplish when they need to accomplish. So the recommendation is to provide that wage rate increase of $3.10 per hour for all positions there, and then work the signing retention bonus for that staff.
We'll have a few
David did
comments.
very well. I mean, you know our job market. Our job market is competing against other oil field companies, you know, for rental, all the things that kind of are unique in this area compared to, you know, we're not competing against Taos detention. We're competing against our local resources that, you know, 3% vacant, or 3% rate of unemployment is excellent. But just recruiting and having those individuals come in, just kind of tie on with the sheriff and Mr. Henry. Some of these litigations and some of these, it's probably not this city, we've got to do something, and that's where it falls into. You even have going down to our rank, like, why would I want to do this worrying about some kind of litigation coming because somebody's food wasn't hot enough or something? It gets really ridiculous. Our population rate has been about the same. We average about 220. Our level of security, without a doubt, has gone up through the various crimes that are happening associated with fentanyl and/or just in generality. Make sure you don't let people fool you. And I get a little defensive when people say, you know, that oil field guys are coming in and they're the ones doing the murders and they're the ones doing that. Other than one in that jail right now, it's Eddy County against Eddy County. And we currently have 22 of those people in there. We have 43 that we call serious management issues that we deal with, and that roughly is almost 25% of our population. So, like the sheriff, I don't change the criteria of what we're watching. We don't lessen a crime from going in that category, but that category is routinely going up. And the fentanyl just kicking us, without a doubt. Every person that comes into that jail out of 10, 8.5 have something going on. Everyone has an alcohol, and now with the advent of the marijuana, doesn't help. It just compounds over and over. Then you throw that in with the staff. So we've done a very good job of managing it. Public safety has always been there. There's not a person over there that's not doing 6 jobs, I'll be honest with you, from the warden down. I go back to Mr. Henry's comments a couple years ago. You know, you have selected few people that work very, very well, that work their tail off for you. But you keep working, and they finally get tired, and then you lose them. And so I'm hopeful that this is not going to be the save all, but it will help. It will show the existing staff that are there that have kind of gone through, you know, the last 24 months with the COVIDs and this, that, people being sick and inmates being sick, a little bit of energy for sure.
Commissioner Cross.
No, I think it takes a special person to work in a detention center. You're having to deal with the problem every day. So, and when, you know, when we're not willing to fund something like that, we better get out of the detention business, because unless we got quality people over there, again, I say that word, but it's a true story on everything we do. If we don't have quality people, then not only do we open ourselves up to more problems, but we open ourselves up to more litigation.
And one thing we haven't even talked about is our mental health. And I know sometimes that's a buzzword. It's not here. And I know it's silly when you drive downtown and you go, I know that transient, I know that transient, and you start going, I don't know that one, I don't know that one. When will I? And you hit 5 or 6 of those individuals that you're going to see in a couple weeks at your house or in the jail.
Yeah.
Commissioner Beer.
I'm on board. I mean, I don't know how we cannot do this. I just
I don't either.
am very thankful that we have been blessed to live in a county where we can do this. And that all goes back to oil and gas direction gonna go right, the new bucks may kill that, so. Just when I say that, anyway. Yeah, let's go for it.
I think this one feels very different, obviously, than the prior one. I mean, you've been short for a minute since I've been here, so that's been quite a few minutes. And, you know, even with this increase, it's really not gonna impact your budget, because I don't, even if we increase it, I don't know that we're gonna get to where we wanna be at any point, because I just don't see that many folks out there wanting to do it. You know, and since I'm probably unpopular today, I might as well just keep rolling. The only way to fix this is get a new jail. I mean, in all honesty, the only way to fix this is get a new jail that is a little more sophisticated, makes more sense for to where we need less staffing to operate the jail. That's just the only way. And I know a lot of folks in the county hate to hear that, but unfortunately, that's just the cold hard truth, is our population's bigger, and we need to be able to better manage that population and the extreme of that population. You're right. I mean, probably when that jail was built, we weren't talking the same kind of crimes that we're talking now in the numbers that we're looking at. So, you know, I unfortunately, I think that's the only way to fix it. This might help for the moment, but I think we're gonna have to get real serious and try to figure out how to fix it in the long run, to where we can reduce your staff and even exceed what our expectations are within that jail.
The design layout is, and they did what they could do at the time.
Sure.
I'm not faulting
Yeah.
anybody in the past.
No, absolutely.
Hey, let's do this here, let's do here, but then when you do that, you subdivide everything up and you're really running 3 small facilities.
Right. Well, I mean, we have so much newer technology and I mean, there's so much more that we could do now, that even when we build this one, hopefully we build it with an idea of, can it adapt to the future? And that would be the goal. And I'm sure that's what they thought. Who knew where we'd be right now? So, yeah, I'm not taking any shots at the past. I'm just saying, in the future, this is where we're gonna have to head. It's not fun, it's not exciting, but it's gonna have to happen. You know, again, with those same legislatures, they're looking at a bill that, because they see the jail and they see the police as an issue, and they're trying to come up with something to help. We'll see. You know, it's an election year. Once session starts, the elections will be over, so we'll either have new or the same. And then all of a sudden, everything they said ahead of time probably isn't quite as accurate sometimes. So, but I really hope they stand true, because again, this is not a Eddy County problem. This is a country problem on this one, but this is a huge issue for the state, and I don't know what to do with it.
The unemployment at the Eddy County Detention Center is about 30%, so it's about 10 times more than the county average. So we've got an institutional issue there. And I will tell everybody that the institutional issue is not the leadership, because we have the best Eddy County, or the best detention director probably in the United States here, and I mean that. I absolutely do. Been down there with the warden multiple times, and Warden Massengill actually loves the inmates. You talk about somebody who's hard to love. I mean, they're hard to love, but he's got the correct demeanor with them. He requires something of them. They know him, they respect him, and he loves them and really wants them to do better. And I appreciate Warden Massengill. Like I said, probably the best warden in the entire United States that we've got sitting here in Eddy County. So we would all need to be very grateful for him. Again, talking about the detention center, we're very far down in the sequence of problems. When you end up in detention, you've had multiple problems before, and it starts out with the families, and then we start out with the educators, and their hands are tied so much by the state of New Mexico, and then we have the qualified immunity, trying to find the people, and you know, hunger's a wonderful thing, and hunger's a great motivator, you know, and if you let people you don't try to take care of them, and they get a little hungry, they get things straightened out. But, you know, the state just gives money away like nobody's business, and, you know, to whomever it is, and they take away that hunger motivation, and then people end up, well, their basic needs are met, and they can go cause problems. They can get on dope, and they can get fentanyl. I mean, there's a lot of issues here. And I guess if the sheriff didn't do his job so good, you wouldn't have any trouble. But we'll just hope he just keeps arresting the slum and taking them down there to you, and maybe we can get something done with them and get them straightened out. And the mental health issue is a big issue.
Yeah, we get crowded, never full.
Excuse me?
We get crowded, but never full.
Never. Yeah.
He can bring all he needs.
And that's
No vacancy.
yeah, Yeah, and that's the attitude of a great leader, so we appreciate that. Again, we're fighting the state on every turn. It is a gut-wrenching decision or gut-wrenching discussion that we have to have about a new detention center that's gonna cost tens of millions of dollars. No one wants to see their taxpayer money go to that. But at the same time, the state and the regulations and the rights that criminals have has put Eddy County in a very precarious situation, and we have to manage those people. We have to be able to manage them with the people that we have, so we're trying to get a few more people here. We've got 30 open positions or whatever. We've had, I don't know, 15 frozen since I've been on the commission, just because there's no need to unfreeze them. So we've got a small, some small adjustments here, but it's not we're not saddling Eddy County with a ton of new expense. But we need to do something, and we need to focus on a new detention center with, you talk about COVID. I mean, people don't even understand the issues that you had with COVID. You have people that have to have so much rec time a day, and this guy can't go with this guy because he used to date the same girl or whatever, and they're gonna murder each other if they get turned out the same. And then they have to have so many hours of sunlight. And then they can't be around each other because they're in quarantine for COVID. And there is just no room, because the state has mandated all of these different issues. They have so many rights. We have to have an update there, and we have to be better. I was completely opposed to it when Commissioner Beard was elected. Before he took office, we were having it. His first thing, he says, "I'm gonna build new detention centers. That's ridiculous. We're not gonna spend that money." Well, you get in and you get more information. You go, it's almost impossible for us not to do that and leave Eddy County in a good position. So, a little off topic here, but it's the same base issue, and I support this and support Warden Massengill. So we appreciate everything that you do.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate it.
Entertain a motion that maybe I should read what we're doing here. Entertain a motion that we take the recommendation for the Eddy County Detention Center and increase wage rates by $3.10 an hour for all ECBC positions, and provide a $5,000 signing/retention bonus for other security positions. Is that correct, Mr. County Manager, Mr. County Attorney? We're all good there. Okay.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Motion and a second. Please call for the vote.
McCutcheon?
Yes.
Beard?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Warden. The next item of business is to reclassify the position at the detention facility, inmate program specialist, part-time civilian to full-time security position. Warden Massengill.
This is the, initially we brought this individual in for the part-time, and this was working with the RISE program. They also kind of oversee any community service coming in, church services. We've had some, since COVID has kind of died down, we've had some very good interest with individuals that want to come in and provide either from services to GED programs to mentoring, whatever we can do to try to keep some of these individuals out. Currently now, we have half our staff, or half the pay is through the county with the benefits, and we will still be able to build back toward the grant some of those things that will deal with the RISE program. So we'll get some of those services back, or some of that pay back. And clearly with our staffing, we paid this like 5 times already in 2 pay periods.
Okay. Questions, comments there? Okay. Entertain a motion that we reclassify the inmate program specialist part-time civilian position to full-time security position.
Second.
Motion and second. Please call for the vote.
McCutcheon?
Yes.
Beard?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
On behalf of the staff, I appreciate you guys very much. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Warden.
Thank you, Commissioners. Next item of business is the approval of an overhire for the office manager, data auditor position in the assessor's office. Speaking of,
Gemma couldn't be here this morning.
Are you gonna sing to us in lieu of Jim
No,
singing to us?
I don't think so.
Things always go better if she'll sing to us.
So we're just asking for the approval of an overhire for the office manager and data auditor. I will be moving up to the assessor's position in January, and this will be for us to be able to train someone coming into my position to be able to get mainly the daily duties, and then as the year goes on afterwards, then we'll continue training them with certification and tax roll and all of that. But
this is just to get some of the daily duties down before I go into office.
Okay. Questions or comments on this? We're good. Entertain a motion that we approve the overhire for the office manager / data auditor position in the assessor's office.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please call for the vote.
McCutcheon,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
I'm quick enough to get a motion in. I've been second on more than one.
Eddy County Fire and Rescue, 4896 holiday schedule. Chief Mack.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Mr. Davis and I have talked extensively about the holiday schedule for the 4896 personnel, and this is what we came up with for a recommendation. It equals out and meets the rest of the county holiday of the 120 hours, and we've selected these days for 24-hour periods for their holiday schedule. Stand for any questions.
Any discussion on the ECFR? Good. Good. Okay, entertain a motion that we approve the ECFR 4896 holiday schedule.
Second.
You got one. Look at that. Motion and a second. Please call for the vote.
McCutcheon,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners. Next item is the New Mexico State Fire Grant for Station 14, the Loving Station. Chief Mack.
So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Deputy Chief Zuniga put us in for a $400,000 state fire grant. We're trying to add a bay down in Loving to give a little more space for the trucks, because when they're in there back to back, we worry about backing accidents or pull-through accidents, anything like that. So we did do a $50,000 match. That's just if we go in excess of the $400,000. So as long as we stay under $400,000, there's no requirement on the county. So we feel like we can do that. Yeah, I feel like we can get it done for the $400,000. We'll see what the prices are by the time they approve the grants and.
How big's the bay?
It'll be right off of the bay that's already there. I think they're 40 or 50 foot bays.
Okay.
So
Yeah, you should.
probably 20 by 50.
If you can't get in there, then
Gotta pay government prices.
you need to go back out to bid. Okay. All right. Any questions or comments on that? All right. Entertain a motion that we approve the New Mexico State Fire Grant for Station 14, Loving.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Motion and the second. Please call for the vote.
Thank you, Jim. Go ahead and vote.
McCutcheon,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
I was trying to figure out what you said. I was like, what are we doing? But you got me lost.
Commission. That's for the petition for the grant, so hopefully they'll be awarded the grant.
Okay.
Next item of business is the resolution and agreement consent agenda.
Any items to discuss or pull in the resolution or agreement consent agenda?
Not for me.
No. Commissioner Henry? Having none, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the resolution and agreement consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please call for the vote.
McCutcheon,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners. Next item of business is elected official and department head updates.
I apologize that I'm gonna take up some more time, everybody, but I do have some significant updates to give, and I actually put a couple of notes down so that I remember everything. I've got a busy year coming up. I was just elected vice president of the New Mexico Sheriff Association. That means I'll be president next year at the same time that I'll be president of New Mexico County. So that's gonna be an interesting year for me to, but I think they're gonna dovetail well into each other, because we're trying to bring the sheriffs more into New Mexico counties and become a more integral part, because it benefits us all. So, and then of course I get to be secretary of the National Association of Counties. So all of that, and that's not blowing my own horn. I'm letting you know that that's what I'm doing to help bring us up. And thank goodness I have a great undersheriff to help support me in all this, because it does require a significant amount of travel. So the idea is to continue to benefit Eddy County. Now, some of it's going to be benefiting the state because of the position I hold as a state member on these agencies, but it's all going to benefit us. It's all going to help us, and it's all going to build us up here in Eddy County. One of the benefits to being on the executive board of the National Sheriff Association is I was able to go to a joint sheriff's summit, which was all the major sheriff's organizations in the country. We went and met in Sierra Vista, and we talked specifically about border issues, as a couple of y'all have alluded to in here, and I know it's on everybody's mind. And it's interesting because we had sheriffs from all across the nation. I mean, up north sheriffs. And the common theme is what's on our doorstep today is in their backyard tomorrow. We are not a destination in Eddy County for this migration. We're not. They flow through us. I brought up the point that we missed the boat a little while back, a couple of years back, when we were just railing about the illegal immigrants. They need to go through the right process, which I still agree with. I think everybody agrees with it. We love immigrants. That's what we're founded upon, this country. We are founded upon immigrants. The problem is we focused on that too much. And that went against a lot of other folks' ideas and the way they see things. And we got caught up in that instead of looking at the actual human problem where those folks are being victimized, they're being raped, they're being killed, they're being tortured, they're being used as the cartels are doing this. We didn't focus on that. We didn't focus on the human suffering that is going on. The illegal immigration is secondary, in my opinion. I mean, that really is. It's they're being used. They're being used to overwhelm our border patrol so that they can't effectively patrol the borders and keep the drugs out. That's the other part of it, is dead Americans also. We have dead South Americans because they're coming from all over South America, Venezuela, Guatemala, Mexico. We have those folks are being killed, raped. We have Americans who are being killed in a much more insidious way through drugs. The precursors for, and I'll keep railing on this, and y'all may get sick of hearing me say it, but I want to get it in people's heads. The precursors for fentanyl are being sent from China to Mexico. That's a proven fact. And none of this is political in any way, shape, or form. This is not politicized. This is fact. It's being sent to Mexico. It's being either pilled up in Mexico, and we know that their quality control is great. That's why 1 in every 5 pills, or 2 in every 5 pills, I'm sorry, is potentially fatal. Sending that over, plus they're just sending over straight up fentanyl now so that we can pill it up and kill our own citizens. So let's think about that for a minute. Who would, what purpose would China have in sending this stuff over? Because making money? Sure. Has anybody, I think about this all the time. They want to destabilize our economy. They want to destabilize the United States of America. That makes sense for them. That's a good strategic goal for them. Same thing with the cartels. Now, the cartels are interested in the money.
Would it be politically incorrect to call fentanyl China pills? Like China virus?
Probably so. They'd probably get after us for that.
Yeah.
But
sorry, just.
But is it in the cartel's best interest to destabilize us? Yes. It's a deeper problem, I think, than a lot of folks realize, and it's why it's crucial that we continue to do that, to look at the border, and we all talked about that at the summit as well. Is we're the fatal funnel in New Mexico, down our boot heel. Because Arizona's strengthened up their border, and they're still getting inundated. Believe me, they're getting, what we went and saw it. Texas has strengthened up their part of the border. We're getting hammered. And we don't even see most of it. We don't even see most of it because it's in very, very desolate rural area. And, but we're seeing it come through here, obviously. I mean, we're a little harder target, which is what I like. I like us being a hard target, but if we're seeing as much as we're seeing, how much is getting through? What are the getaways? And that's what they talk about, the getaways. And I talk about getaways with the drugs. It's all coming through here. So I'm gonna preach that and continue to preach that, and it is not a political issue to me. It is not a blue or a red issue. It's a red, white, and blue issue, and I believe in that. I truly, firmly believe in that, and I think most folks in Eddy County see that as well and believe that as well. We need to care about human beings, and those human beings that aren't Americans are being ravaged, and it's horrible. It's horrible. So, just to shift gears for a minute, New Mexico counties did a survey, and we looked at it, and there is a 40% vacancy rate across New Mexico in law enforcement, or excuse me, in sheriff's office and detention centers. 40% vacancy rate. So it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. A lot of counties have shut down their jails. They've shut them down because they can't afford them. And I'll tell you what, you know, when
You said 40% across the
40% across the state. So that's why it's so crucial, and thank y'all. I didn't get to thank y'all for passing what you did for the warden, because I've been his biggest advocate for the longest time. We, as Commissioner Beard said, we're blessed here, and Billy Massengill, and I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon with that. Billy Massengill is one of those blessings, because I don't know how he does it. I honestly don't. And I'm tied to the jail. Statutorily, I am tied to the jail as the sheriff. Now, I don't have any input in the operation, so I'm usually excluded from any lawsuit initially, but I don't have to be, because the jail is still, in statute, there's some sheriff responsibility. So I appreciate the fact that Billy Massengill does what he does. We don't have near the issues, and we should. We have an outdated, inefficient facility that has been cobbled together over time, and we have a 30% vacancy rate, and that man still keeps it going. So I'm gonna shut up and quit talking so high about Billy now, 'cause his head won't be able to go out through the door. But I want the folks listening to hear that as well, because he does a great job. Mental health is and it dovetails in with that. Mental health. His jail is a de facto mental health facility with folks who are not trained to deal with it. I mean, yeah, you go and get a little class, but they're not mental health care professionals. They're corrections officers. So at some point, we're going to have to address that as a state, as a nation. We did away with all these mental health facilities, and guess who ended up dealing with them? Cops, deputies, and the jail. And that's the wrong way. That's the wrong way to deal with it, because we have our way of doing things. We are, and the same thing with us. You send us to a little class and say, oh, okay, well, here's how you deal with people in crisis. Well, we've been taught that this is how you deal with the people that you deal with who are acting like that, and it's not the same. It's not the same. So finally, we're having a special meeting with the SENMC, the college board tonight, our new wonderful community college for Eddy County, and we're moving towards selecting a president, a full-time president. Finally, it's been a long process, and we have had some incredible applicants, and we're having a special meeting tonight because I think we had some missteps on a couple of things. I wasn't there, so it's not my fault. But And then next week, we're gonna vote on, or we're gonna select who we're gonna offer the job to. So I'm real excited about that. I think it's a big step forward for us. And I just encourage everyone to support our new college. It's a great thing for Eddy County, it really is. So, and then I just want to take time again to thank you for the consideration for my deputies that you gave today. I know, and I know especially Commissioner Mayor, that it was difficult for you, but it's the right thing, and it needed to happen. It definitely did. So thank you again.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Sheriff. Are there other department updates or elected official? Mr. Burns.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I just wanted to come up today and kind of echo some of your comments that we had this morning during Commissioner comments. We do still use the process that we put in when we first came in. We have the evaluations that we still go off of and the prioritizations, and you know, all of you kind of echoed that we don't make decisions based off of emotion or opinions or promises. We make them off of technical data, engineering formulas, and the usage of the roads. We still are out collecting road counts pretty frequently and collecting that data as well as collecting our PQIs for the roads. So we are still using that process to select where and when we go and how we do it.
PQI?
Our pavement quality index. Basically what we did is we went in, and when they shot the road, they used a LiDAR laser, and they came in and it got the density, the ruts, the potholes, and they put all this in a formula, and that's where you kind of get your index on this, and it tells you from a scale 1 to 100 where you're at on the roads. When we started this whole process back in 2019, 2020, we had an average PQI in the county of about a 16, 17. And we've been able to bring that up to about a 45. Actually, it's higher. We've brought our pavement up to a 70, and overall with our dirt roads, because dirt roads are hard to measure with a PQI. We've brought it up to, you know, significantly higher than where it needs to be. You know, when we talk about our chip seals, we have really perfected our chip seal roads, and from what we've seen on these and the process that we've put in, chip seal is holding up to our truck traffic. The roads we did back in 2019 with London and Crosscar are still holding up to our chip seal. When we put chip seal down on Bounds, Commissioner Carlson and I rode Bounds back then. That was probably one of our worst and most dangerous roads in the county. It is holding up to our chip seal roads. When we did Dark Canyon's holding up to the flooding. We have a few low water crossings that we're evaluating right now and putting a design in to address some of the flooding issues. Chip seal's holding up. And we maintenance our roads, that's the principle that we put in is good pavement maintenance is done by maintaining your good roads. So with your initial investment that we put in 2020, we are now able to go maintain the good roads that we have and maintain an acceptable PQI.
Thing about a chip seal is based on the base under the chip seal.
That's right.
You do the work on the subgrade and the base, and when you chip seal it, it'll hold up. As a matter of fact, chip seal is pretty good because it's a flexible coating rather than a rigid coating. So in some instances, it holds up better than paper.
And that's what we've done on a lot of these roads that we've declared dead that have our low PQIs. We go in and haul base, process, press, compact, reclaim our road, get our base back to a good solid, and then we go in and chip seal. And that's the plan that we brought to y'all when we started this. Is we wanted something that was fast to do. It was easy to do, and it was cheap. We could do all these things in-house. And that's why we put this in, because it's quick, fast, and easy. Cheap, fast, and easy. And we do this in-house, and we've become quite efficient at it. We've become quite efficient at it, even with the rising prices, the inflation that we've seen, our chip seal oil doubling, tripling in price. We are still doing this at a fraction of the cost that our third-party contractors are putting it on the road. And we've got all of our third-party contractors filled up with as much as they can handle. So we are, as fast as we can go, getting down these things. So I just wanted to confirm that we are still using the process. We're not willy-nilly and going out here and, well, we're gonna do that one. But we do take concerns into account. When they call and say, hey, can we do our roads? Hey, can we look at these? We try to fit these into our schedule where we can. We try to consolidate when we're in the area. And if there's something we need to do that might not be on the schedule, we try to encompass it. And that not only goes for our Eddy County citizens, but also our partnerships we have with the cities. And they don't control us, but we like to be good neighbors and good partners with our city of Artesia and city of Carlsbad, and also with DOT. So we try to work well and play nice and do everything we can to help everybody, because at the end of the day, if we don't work well together, we're not going to be successful in what we do.
We're better off working well together than we are working separately.
That's right. So, I did want to tell you that we are working towards the interactive map on the website. That was a good idea after our conversation the other day. Instead of just posting maps and updating those, we have reached out. The assessors have one of those interactive maps through their website right now. We've reached out to that vendor, and we're working on getting our own put in with our information that we already have through our current GIS, that it'll be an interactive map on our website that you can see not only what we've done, but the year we've done it and where we're currently planning to go next. So maybe that'll be a tool that we can help inform and let people know where we're going with some of the construction and plan ahead type information. And also the trackers are still current on the website. They get to those when we can, and also with county managers initiative with doing some overtime. That's usually what they do with scheduled overtime, is they go out and really try to address the complaint trackers. So that's what they do on Fridays and Saturdays when we're out working overtime. So,
Okay.
thank you,
Jason.
Jason, thank you, we appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Other departments or elected officials? Chief Matt.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, just a couple of things. We pulled some statistics for 2021 and so far this year on our fire prevention and recruitment statistics. We've handed out over 251 volunteer applications. We've handed out over 14,800 prevention items, and we've had over 1,700 hours spent at these community-based events. So we want to thank the volunteers and staff that have helped make that happen. We're going to be adding a smoke detector and a CO installation program. The request form will be on our website, and is what they'll have to do is they'll have to go on and fill out the form. Jared or someone from the prevention division will get it, and either them or the on-duty crew will go and do a site assessment of the home, and then we'll install the smoke detectors or CO detectors. They come in combo detectors now, but just to assure that they get put up where they're supposed to be put up. We're also evaluating a fire extinguisher program for in-the-home fire extinguishers to hopefully be able to extinguish the fire sooner.
I'm all for that.
We'll get you on the list. On the volunteer side, we've sat down with the volunteer battalion chiefs and the officers, and we've set meeting dates. So the north meetings are the first and third Mondays. They rotate the stations up there, and then they meet the third Saturday, and that's a 8-hour all-day training. Down south, they do the second and fourth Mondays, and then they do the fourth Saturday. So we'll also be starting the second academy, and that one will be web-based. It's online-based, and then on their meeting nights is when we'll actually go and cover all the skills that are required for them. So it allows them not to have to be at class every week, certain nights. It's going to help spread it out. So that was the consensus, and we feel like that's the best push to move forward. Currently, we have 11 of the 4896 career staff positions filled, which leaves us with the 10 openings. We have 7 to test on Friday. We have 5 additional applications in the process, and then we have 3 applicants in the process for the mechanic positions that y'all approved last meeting. We want to thank Sherelle, Roxanne, and Charlie for helping us get those positions filled as quickly as they have, going through psych evals and doing all that stuff. They've stayed right on top of it to help us get it done. And we're actively pulling some statistics to bring back to y'all to show responses. If there hasn't been any missed calls to my knowledge that haven't been able to be covered, and then also response times. So that's all I've got. Aside from that, everything else is going good. And if y'all have any questions, comments, or concerns, don't hesitate to call us. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Your collar pin there on other side, there you go. Don't want you to lose it. All right, other department dates, department heads, or elected official updates? Once, twice sold. All right, legislative updates. We don't have any legislators here. I'll talk a little bit about, I had the opportunity to meet with some of them on Friday, but there's a lot of preparation going on right now for the session in January. That process has begun. There's talk of new bills and getting them prepped and written, and so there's a lot of activity going on, so we're trying to stay on top of that through NMC and S360 and others to be aware of what may arrive at the session in January.
Hey, Al, I guess now would be a good time for us to also start planning on our trip up and putting together talking and initiatives that we want to press over.
Okay, we can do that. Okay. The next item of business is the travel request consent agenda.
Any items to discuss or pull from the travel request consent agenda? Having none, entertain a motion that we approve the travel request consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion in a couple seconds, please call for the vote. Yes.
Beard.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. We have no emergency business, and legislators, elected officials aren't here, so county manager comments. Last Friday, had the opportunity, I was invited kind of I won't say last minute, but it was a little short notice to share some things with the New Mexico Legislative Economic Development and Policy Committee, one of the interim committees. And so they met one day, they met on Thursday in Hobbs and Friday in Artesia. So I went up, Commissioner Henry was there as the mayor of Artesia to welcome that committee. The slot I had was to talk about the economic diversity in Eddy County, diversity of industry, and the Arrowhead study that was completed the end of 2020 and published in January 2021. And I had a 40-minute slot. I kept my presentation about 15-20 minutes, but the engagement and interaction with the committee members was significant, and we were probably there hour and 10 minutes. The chair, Representative Maestas, extended that time to continue that discussion, and I think we were able to really help the member legislators on that committee understand the implications and impact of the diverse industry in southeast New Mexico. Agriculture, mining, nuclear, oil and gas, even the retail. For the last 3 quarters of the fiscal year, New Mexico Economic Development Department publishes their quarterly reports, and Eddy County continues to be in the very top in terms of matched taxable gross receipts in the state. We're either second or third, depending on the quarter. If we're second, Lee County's third. If we're third, Lee County's second. But the two combined match Bernalillo County. So Lee and Eddy County contribute 25% of the matched taxable gross receipts. So if you use that as your economic barometer, all of the industries in our area contribute to that, those revenues that go to the state. And I was very couched in how I phrased my comments about the equity in reciprocation. So that's what the Arrowhead study did, took a net effect of revenue generated within a county that went to the state, less the estimated expenditures made by the state in that county. That's how you got to the net number. And Eddy County was number one in that study in terms of net effect for the state and they normalized it per capita. So Eddy County citizens per capita contributed in excess of $80,000 net to the state. There are only 6 counties in the state that had positive contributions, and only 2 of those were significant. Eddy County at 82 and Lee County at 78 or 80. Then it dropped off significantly. San Juan, Rio Arriba, there were only 6. And then the rest were net receivers. So my message wasn't here, my hands out, give me this money, balance this out, but remember where your economic engine is, and good companies reinvest in their business to continue their success. New Mexico should do the same. And the message wasn't lost on that committee. There was a graphic in that one of the committee members, Senator Diamond, she said, "You've mislabeled that slide. That slide should say, gut punch for New Mexico. Thank you, Eddy County, for going to work so everybody else doesn't have to." She was a little more rough than I was in the discussion, but it did resonate with the number of folks that were on that committee. And so I did want to just say, we're continuing to share our message. Southeast New Mexico and Eddy County is a great place to do business, to be in business. Our citizens, and we appreciate all that have come, having a dialogue and discussion is what makes local government successful. So thank you, and you should feel like you always have a place and an opportunity here. We may not always agree, but without understanding the issues and the challenges going both ways, our success is less. So thank you. And the little lady she's doing a great job. She's a good girl. But Eddy County is awesome, right? And that's what I tried to convey to them is help us be successful so that we can help the state of New Mexico continue to try and be successful. So we'll try and leverage that as the session progresses in January. And again, thanking everyone for doing what they do within the county. We need everyone. We have challenges, and we'll continue to address them head on and systematically take care of them. So thank you. I'll stop there. We moved the county commissioner's comments up earlier in the agenda. We have no executive session. Mr. Chairman, I believe that concludes our business for this morning.